What's up, guys? It's your boy Kendall here from Worthing, and we're on day 7. Day 7. 1 week of 100 days of code. Isn't it amazing to think? 1 week ago, we were doing no video recordings, no records, no accountability. Now, we're on day 7, creating habits of 100 days of code. It's awesome. And also, we're on bank holiday weekend of School of Code. School of Code, School of Code. I guess. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. What? To the School of Code. So obviously I'm doing School of Code. This is my first week. We're on the first weekend, which happens to be a bank holiday weekend. We're doing some recap tasks. And also I'm doing in conjunction with that 100 days of code. So I'm on day 7. The rules of 100 days of code are you're to code 1 hour a day. We're keeping that consistent habits. We keep ourselves accountable publicly. We connect with the community of Twitter. And 4, that we keep a daily log of our emotions and feelings. Yesterday's video was cut a little bit short, but hey, today we're back on it. Not cut short. We're going to be good to go. So, obviously today, it's about deliberate practice. And one of the things that the founder of School of Code talks about is about practice and deliberate practice. He put basically this article up in our sort of recap of the week that we're meant to be looking at during the weekend to keep that consistent habit. And this article is all about deliberate practice. And that's exactly what, so for example, this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, might be tempting to not do anything and only to rest. And yes, we have more rest these days, but it's important to keep that habit going every single day. And this article had a really cool bit in there. It talked about deliberate practice. And what it says, that deliberate practice, say it again, deliberate practice. There, I can speak English. Forgive the American English. Deliberate practice always follows the same pattern. And here's what that article said. It says that you break the overall process down into parts. So I'm wanting to learn how to code in JavaScript, right? So you got to break it down into parts. Got to break it down into variables. Break it down into while loops, for loops, conditional statements like if and else. You got to break it down into objects, into manageable little parts, right? And then the other part this article talked about is identifying your weaknesses. So for me, my weaknesses were for and while loops, right? So I'm a bit of struggle with those, sometimes with functions. Just figuring out, getting my head into that space, right? And then the next thing was to test new strategies, right, for each section. So each of the weaknesses, test new strategies of how you can go about it. So today and yesterday, today I've been looking at other ways of looking at it, looking at videos on for loops and while loops and functions. I'm looking at Free Code Camp and testing that way out, testing out W3 schools and testing out the way they do things there. So testing out new strategies for each section, right? And then integrate your learning into the overall process. So then I'll take that learning and continue it on. So he gave an example in this article. It's really cool. Sorry to go on so much with the article, but the article was really cool. They give an example of cooking, right? And they give this example of this guy called Jiro Ono. And he was a subject of this documentary called Jiro Dreams of Sushi. Sounds pretty cool. I'm going to check it out. But basically, he's the chef and he's the owner of this award-winning sushi restaurant in Tokyo, right? And this guy, Jiro, he's dedicated his life to perfecting the art of making sushi. And he expects the same of his apprentices. And each apprentice, they must master one tiny part of the sushi making process at a time. So, for example, how to wring a towel, how to use a knife, how to cut the fish, and so on. And one apprentice trained under Jiro for 10 years before being allowed to cook eggs. I mean, think about that. 10 years, he had to perfect all these little skills. Each step of the process is taught with the utmost care. So, obviously today, what did we get up to today? Same thing. So we're dedicated to practice, deliberate practice, right? Today was deliberate practice. So I deliberately practiced rock, paper, scissors again, but I did it in a different way. I followed along with DevEd, this YouTuber, with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to add a little bit more dimension to the rock, paper, scissors we already did, to add to it. I practiced with Free Code Camp at W3 schools on arrays, functions, while, and for loops. And, I signed up for Code Wars, which we're encouraged to do as well. And my hour went really quick with all of the rock, paper, because basically with the rock, paper, scissors, it was sort of taking what we learned during this week, and I was sort of discovering ways that you link that with your HTML and you link that with your JavaScript. Some of my School of Code guys were already doing that sort of stuff, and I was like, man, how do they do that? So I started like discovering and looking YouTube videos and looking at like, right, how do they do this and how do they get that? And it's really, really cool how you can make things interact. Get element by ID, for example, is one sort of calling in thing that you can do to sort of connect the dots, right? In the JavaScript. And you can change things and make it interact with the HTML. It's super cool. And you can change the inner HTML, right? There's all these different little bits you can do, which is super cool. I can't wait to go deeper. Oh man, and the buttons that you can, when you click on things, things can happen on click, right? Another one. Super cool, these things you can do. And Dr. Chris told us about as well, these on Code Wars. So Code Wars has a way where actually you can set up an account on there, and you can do these things called katas, and katas are from karate, but on Code Wars they've used that word katas because, again, it's about deliberate practice, about doing the same thing over and over again and building that habit so you become good at it, right? So on Code Wars, you can actually select different things. You can sign in, which I did today. I selected my account, signed up, and you can actually practice problem solving, right? You could actually choose that you want to choose JavaScript or any other language, but I chose that JavaScript because that's what I'm learning. And you can choose to do fundamentals. You can choose to do ranking up. You can choose to do just practice. And so that's what I've done. So tomorrow, I'm going to focus on practice. But today has been all about deliberate practice. It's been all about cementing some of those fundamentals again and really trying new things and those sort of things, and really trying to just follow this sort of format, the deliberate practice that I learned, where, you break the overall process down into parts, you identify your weaknesses, you test new strategies for each section you're struggling with, and then integrate your learning into the overall process. And I've been trying to apply that to each one of these things that I've been struggling with, and really taking that strategy, and I encourage you to do the same. Anyways, that's day 7 of 100 days of code. I'm out for now. It's a bit late now. Well, late for me, having kids. It's 10:12, so I gotta make sure the kids are in bed and they're asleep. But anyways, guys, have an awesome night. Peace out to all of you, and I wish you all the happiness and best in your coding journey. All right, guys, until next time.